Alright everyone, welcome back to another Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes video with Fat Phil, and one of the things that has been on my mind a lot is the Kyber problem in Grand Arena. And to show you what I mean as we get into this video, it's that what we call Kyber is the biggest conglomerate of players in the game. Just to show you this, right? This is what I mean by Kyber. I'm talking about the entire realm that is Kyber, right? Kyber 5 to Kyber 1. So the top end player in Kyber is Aesop Rock, right? You're gonna see other people here. This is a bug. Like, these guys do not belong in Kyber 1, right? This guy does not belong in Kyber 1. It's a bug with their matchmaking that they're looking into. But this is like the top player in Kyber 1 here, Aesop Rock. And this guy has 14.5 million galactic power in Mochromium. He is, I think, the undisputed #1 player in Galaxy of Heroes Kyber, I believe, right? So as you move over down to Kyber 5, I was doing some research and I kind of found this, and I think this is the great place to start. So you're looking at, say, 14.5 million at the top end of galactic power, of your top end here, right? When you come into Kyber 5, right, and we look at, was it this guy? Nice, 7.2, no, there was one other guy I saw in here who was like, here it is, Jazzy, this was it. 5.6 million galactic power. So this guy here is in Kyber 5. So only 4 levels above him is somebody with 14.5 million galactic power. Basically 9 million more GP than this player. And they're only 5 levels separated. Yes, the skill rating is obviously different, but realistically, he's only a few levels away. Like, when you look at this breakout, right? When you go back to that breakout and you talk about, hey, like, this is where you're at, it's not that far removed from Kyber. Right? So this grouping of Kyber is so massive now, and it's grown as the game has grown, and yet it's never been looked at or adjusted since its release in November 2021. So we're going to flip over here, guys. So hopefully you enjoy this video. Like and subscribe. We're going to go take a trip down memory lane real quick to November 2021 when this was first released, right? This State of the Galaxy here. And I'm not going to share, I'm going to move my fat face out of the way here because it is important to see this. So November 2021 was when all the GAC changes happened. I'm going to link this down below. If you weren't playing at this time, I think it's a really interesting read for you. They talk a lot about this stuff, but where I want to go to is this table right here. This shows you the initial galactic power threshold. When they did this change, they put us all into divisions based on GP. And then they let skill rating take over from there. Never again have they ever truly reset us and said, hey, this is where you belong based on your galactic power. So this issue that is Kyber has grown since its initial release in November 2021. And what I want to show is, look at that initial GP for Kyber 5. So that guy we just looked at, Jazzy, he would have been in Erodium 1. So he's barely under the threshold for what Kyber 5 was at the initial release, which is awesome for him. That's really great for that account. But look at what Kyber 1 was. 7.2 million galactic power. 7.2 million galactic power was the minimum to get into Kyber 1 in November 2021. I don't think there's a single account below, I would say even 9. I'd say maybe there's some 9 million guys, but realistically, getting into Kyber 1 takes at least probably 10 million galactic power for most people to do it without the matchmaking bugs. So this is insane, right? You think that 5.6 is about what they used to say Kyber 5 was, and yet if I look in Kyber 5, I can find accounts that are 10 million, 11 million or more sitting there. So Kyber now is just this huge group of players that, unfortunately, it kind of takes, it's really hard to move in and out of, those divisions because of how many players are trapped there. Some of that has to do with just there's only 5 levels, and so it's there's all these people there. But I think the other side of that is there are players who could be competing in Kyber 1, but are competing in Kyber 2 because the rewards don't really change that much. If you don't believe me, look at this number right here. This is the average rewards, right, on a daily basis, right? They're saying, hey, here's your average daily rewards. So your average daily rewards for Kyber 1 would be 5,502, or 5,052. What the heck am I doing? 552. Gosh, I can't talk today. 552. And in Kyber 2, it's 517, which is only 35 different. And that 35 kind of holds true between each of these levels of Kyber. So for most players, that 35 extra crystals a day is not worth, that's not worth the squeeze, right? That is not worth all the extra headache that comes from another Kyber division. So I think we need to adjust that. And just to show you like the overall math here that I'd calculated based on 5 wins and 4 losses in a season, you can see that that is about 1,000 crystals different between each of these tiers in Kyber. So there's your 5 Kyber tiers with their overall rewards, taking into account wins, losses, the seasons, all that stuff. Here's your, monthly rewards. And this I had done to show the difference between Fleet and Grand Arena. And just kind of side note, I had made this a long time ago when everybody was like, what are you talking about? Like, Fleet's not nearly as important as Grand Arena. And I kind of proved that until you reach Kyber 5, you're going to get more crystals from placing first in Fleets every single day. So just want to make that argument. But let's kind of get into this, showing you how I think you fix this Kyber problem, right? So again, the issue being this number right here, that 5.6 is fine, but this 7.2 isn't. So here's what I would do. I'd double the amount of divisions in Kyber. If you keep the initial GP the same in Kyber 10, what I would call it, and you make this the old Kyber 5 rewards, right? So you look here, these are the old Kyber 5 rewards. And I took this screenshot here just to show that like you can trace these across your daily prize, round win, loss, the event, placing, end of season, right? If you look at that, I took the Kyber 5 rewards and made them Kyber 10. Then I added a GP threshold of 700,000. I just said, hey, for every level, we're going to add 700,000 galactic power. I think that's pretty reasonable, right? I feel like that's a good number to use to start. That, hey, 700,000 galactic power kind of makes sense to me. Because I think 1 million is a bit drastic. I don't know. It's arbitrary, but I think 700,000 kind of makes a lot of sense. And the reason I thought that is actually because when you go here and you look at that gap between Kyber 2 and Kyber 1, it was 700,000. And that's what kind of rung true for me, is that if they identified that as a reasonable jump to go from Kyber 2 to Kyber 1, I think that's a reasonable jump at every single level here. Because, like, this is just 120,000 is so paltry here. Like, it's absurd to me that you have, like, a small jump here. Like, you think there's 3 levels within 500,000 galactic power of each other. And then there's 2 that are 700,000 apart. Like, so that's kind of where I came up with the 700,000. So you jump 700,000 each time. And all you do is just, like, this reward tier is new. It's more than the old Kyber 5, but less than the current Kyber 4. And that kind of trend continues all the way down until you get to this old Kyber 1 tier. This is the old Kyber 1 rewards. The only new thing I would do is I'd add a official Kyber 1 where you up the win crystals from 900 to 975, right? So you see, like, these new tiers are upping the rewards between what Kyber 2 and Kyber 1 is right now, but it's still less than what you were getting, right? So just a little bit, a little bit more, enough to make it maybe worth your while. But making Kyber 1 kind of the creme de la creme, right? The best of the best, that it's really worth your time to be here. The one other fix I would do, and this I think is really where you could get people, is you notice that the lost crystals are the same. I've never understood this. I truly have never understood why the lost crystals are the same for all of Kyber. Because this is really why a lot of people say it's not worth the squeeze. Me losing in Kyber 5, you losing in Kyber 5 is the same as me losing at Kyber 1 or 2, right? That doesn't make any sense to me. Like, how have I invested so much more in my account, and when I lose, it's no different than if I was in Kyber 5? I get that, when you win, you get more. But, like, I should get more for a loss too. And if you're like, that's just a participation trophy, talk to everybody, whoever competes in the Champions League. You think Newcastle United is complaining about all the money that they got for finishing 4th in their group? Absolutely not. Like, they got more money than the people who competed in the Europa League, and those in the Europa Conference, and those who didn't compete at all. Sure, they lost, but they were still there, right? They were still competing. Like, so I hate to say it like that, but that's the truth of it, right? And if you're not a soccer fan, you go play, Alabama as Old Dominion. Do you know how much money they make by going to play Alabama? They know that they're about to get spanked. And they know they're also going to get banked. So they don't care. Here'd be my suggestion. So at Kyber 10, you leave it here. And then you could do this. You could either go up by like 25 each time, So you just do like, what I would maybe say here is you do like equals this plus 25. You have like 25 crystals at every single tier, right? And that way, okay, by the end you get 425 crystals. The only issue I have here, the only thought I had here was that it's not really, again, you're still not solving that problem of incentivizing people to climb higher, because yeah, you're getting a little bit more, but not enough. So my other thought was do this. You kind of keep this at like 200 here. And then you come here and make this like 250 and 250. And then you come here and make this 300 and 300. Right? And then 350 and 350. And then 400 here. And then 450 here. The idea being that you're going to get significantly more crystals. Yeah, between Kyber 4 and Kyber 3, like these two levels, there's not as much of a change for the lost crystals. But you're trying to push into Kyber 2. You're trying to push into Kyber 1. You want people to be pushing higher and higher to earn better rewards. So that would be my suggestion here. I know it doesn't sound like a lot, and I know Capital Games is going to be like, well, how does this make us more money? The amount of people who I think recognize that them spending money doesn't really benefit their Grand Arena ranking because it's going to take them years to climb out of Kyber 5 right now. Like, instead, incentivize, it's not so much incentivizing those who are sitting in Kyber 5 who belong there. It's incentivizing those people who are maybe in that Kyber 3, Kyber 2 to push themselves up into that next bracket and earn those rewards. I think this is kind of necessary for the survival of this game. Grand Arena hasn't been adjusted in the 2.5 years, right? Since this post, the only thing they've done is a slight tweak to the matchmaking. And even then, all it's really done is pushed more people into Kyber, exacerbating this Kyber problem that we have. So, you know, I think that this could be a really good change. I feel like they just need to add a few more divisions. Think about if you're an American, think about college. Like, why is there Division 1, 2, and 3? Because they recognize that those Division 1 schools have resources that those Division 3 schools don't have and talent that they don't have, so they shouldn't compete against each other. And the money they receive is vastly different because of it. Like, why should GAC be any different? I really think that this is to get them into the position that they want for Grand Arena, they've got to give a little bit. Like, realistically, this is not an absurd amount of extra rewards in the grand scheme of the game. In the grand scheme of the game, this is not that big of an increase to the reward structure. Right? It really isn't. And the only reason I think you make it this much better to be in Kyber 1 versus like the current state of it is because you're trying to say, hey, if you're at that top level, you deserve more. So maybe you guys are gonna be like, Phil, that's ridiculous. Like, they don't need any more stuff. But we've got to incentivize people to want to get there. Because how many of you actually want to be competing in Kyber 1 against those guys? Like, I got kicked the hell out of there because I wasn't good enough. So I think this could really solve a lot of the issues we see with matchmaking, because there's guys I know who are like, yeah, I don't really care about being in Kyber 1 because it's not enough crystals. I think you add a little bit more there and people will start to come. Yes, there's still going to be players who won't care about where they sit in the Grand Arena matchmaking, right? And I'm just going to say, like, there are guys, and I'm not trying to pick, like, I'm picking on him because I respect it so much. There's a guy in my fleet shard here, Cotman. Shout out, buddy. I don't know if you're watching, but shout out nonetheless. He is a 13 million account sitting in Kyber 2. He doesn't even climb in Fleet Arena. This is the kind of guy, he's like, he 100% will admit that he spends money, right? No, like, he 100% will spend money. Sits in Kyber 2. To him, it's not worth it. He said, like, it's not really worth me trying to compete in Kyber 1. It's not worth the headache. All of a sudden, you're injecting a few more crystals in there. Maybe you do. Maybe he's like, it's not really worth it. But maybe he gets put into that new Kyber 2 where it's still above some of those guys who aren't quite ready for his level. So I think that can make things a lot better. You guys let me know what you think. Again, this is not about fixing the stuff for, like, it's about fixing the matchmaking below that Kyber 1, 2, and 3 of where I was suggesting. It's so that way your 5 million Galactic Power players aren't fighting a 10 million Galactic Power account and getting absolutely, wiped across the floor. It's about pushing some of these accounts into these higher levels. And there's more that could go into that, but I think this would be the first step to see if it would help. Let me know your thoughts. I love you all. May the force be with you. And if you're still watching right now, go ahead in the comments and just say that my GAC rank is plummeting harder than the housing market in 2008. I love you all. May the force be with you. I'll see you guys. Cheers.